cut this out. Look at that. Yuck. That is disgusting. Yep, that's getting thrown away. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Junkyard Digs. I don't know, it might be the middle of an episode. I'm really lost at this point. I haven't edited video in weeks, but it's fine, whatever. I think where we left off last was this guy right here. Mook was here. She helped me lay out all of the license plates and our little rainbow of anti-giant hole in the trunk.
I'm ready!
We've got all our metal prepped, clearance for our tire made. We're gonna reconstruct this quarter panel using the best of the best old Iowa license plates and big ass rivets. There it is.
Out there.
Mook's home state for our keystone.
One's in pretty well. Almost spot on.
And today I just finished this up. There's no reason to put this on camera because it's really boring. I painted the trunk, sealed the rust, and then covered all the holes with license plates. Man, that's thin. That feels so wrong.
Wow. There's that much before I hit the headliner.
Jesus, that is just pushing it down.
No, I have my hand on it.
It's just a little thin,
Right
but
there.
good lord.
Because it just...
Oh yeah. She's a little thin, but we're gonna use some sandwich plates and some rubber insulation to try to stiffen this up enough. All right, there we go. I've got some pieces of rubber cut out from a piece of floor mat that I bought from Menards. It's just some 1/4 inch rubber that'll help seal these holes and help with the shaking that's probably gonna happen on the roof rack. Help keep things quiet and soft. Bam, look at that. I wasn't sure at first, but now that it's on there, I'm definitely sure. I love it. It fits the 31-inch tire perfectly. We tested it earlier, and it's solid. As you can see, I can shake the whole car. All these are leaning in towards each other in multiple directions, so I didn't even need any lag bolts. It just pinched on. It's not going anywhere. But unfortunately for a headliner, it is going somewhere. The trash can. This thing is disgusting. Just look at the amount of mouse houses that were falling out of this. So, I don't need to die, particularly while driving this thing, just from disease. Nevertheless, traumatic force of a crash, so I'll limit half my chances. And we'll cut this out. Look at that. Yuck. That is disgusting. Yep, that's getting thrown away. So today we're gonna get into meat and potatoes here. The next step for this build, now that most of the bodywork's done, I do need to trim these fenders and whatnot, but I'll get to that eventually. That's not important right now. What we want this thing to do next is run, which means we need everything besides fuel, because all we have right now is fuel. We need a radiator, we need the plumbing for the coolant lines for the transmission, we need the plumbing for the radiator, we need to hook up the power steering pump, and we need to get everything that is a fluid directed where it's supposed to be. And besides fluids, we need electricity going where it's supposed to be. Now usually this isn't a big problem for revival cars because they've just been sitting around and most of the things either don't work and you don't care, or they do work and it's majestical and everything's fine. This one we need everything to work because this is a Gambler power tour car. We're taking this on power tour, it's got to drive 2,000 miles. I need it to work. Which, in order to do that, all the electrical needs redone because this car was flooded, as you know, and everything's destroyed. So there's a couple ways to go around fixing this. You can get an original harness and spend lots of money and lots of time and replace every switch and everything on the dash. You could get a painless harness, which is kind of the same thing. Another way is to get a universal harness from Painless Wiring. That just gives you your lights, maybe some fuel pump if you need that. Kind of depends on what you order in. It's about $200 bucks. Or you can go down to Menards, O'Reilly's, and Walmart and order the Painful wiring harness, which is the old Kevin special, which is about 40 switches, 60 feet of wire, a bunch of heat shrink, 1,000 connector butts, and a key. I'm gonna wire this whole car myself. I got a 4-day weekend here between full-time school, so I'm just gonna try to pound it out, which means the less camera I touch, the more work I get done, but I'll bring you along for the highlights. Let's begin. So here's where we're at right now, just getting started. We've got a bunch of wires over there. That one's sticking straight up, I know cranks the motor. The rest of these are probably alternator charge wires, ground wires, anything for temperature, oil pressure, stuff like that. I do have an HEI, which is separate entirely, so this needs power as well from the key. Buick goes from these leads to the motor and then out to the car. Pontiac was a little different. Thankfully, these are both GM, so most of my stuff should interface just fine. Hoping that's internally regulated so I can get rid of this big mess of regulator. Need to figure out how to wire this guy and basically adapt all that to this. Coming inside the car, all of this is bad. None of this works. The speedometer does work, that's it. None of these switches work. The key's missing, the horn's junk, the steering wheel's junk. I'm assuming if it had blinkers, they wouldn't work. Yeah, this is the condition of everything. Just shot. So, literally nothing on the dash works. To include that mirror. Okay, so it's been like 3 days since I just ended the camera right there. It is now Monday afternoon. I ran into a big snag on the alternator charging system. Turned out to be a bad alternator, and the one I had on hand was externally regulated, but we didn't realize that until way too late. But now it's all back together. All of the wiring from the car that was previously in it has been cut out. Anything that wasn't usable, so like the factory harness and everything is gone. And there's now this, yes. Here, everything up front is now done besides blinkers and like wipers and whatnot. But everything to be minimal functional is here. We have alternator charging wires, HEI, power, tack, alternator field, key return, and accessory, all wired inside. All of the extra wires that were flying off the side of the engine over there were completely unnecessary, it turns out. I just need that. New alternator's on, that works. We've tested it with the motor running, it's good. If you're ever having issues with your indicator light turning on and you're like, what the hell is going on here? You need a little bit of RPM in these internally regulated 3-wire GM alternators before they will kick and then they'll catch. And then you can bring it back down to idle and it'll stay charging. So what I would do is I'd turn the light on, or I'd turn the key on, the indicator light would come on and it'd stay on when it was running. Turns out you gotta get a little, depending on which one you have, this one we needed to hit about 1,000 RPM, give it a little rev, and then the regulator will catch mechanically and internally regulate itself electronically. So, all that's done. We had a bad headlight up here, I gotta get a new one. But if we come inside the car, we have locations for all of our switches, all of our indicator lights. We're gonna have blinkers, indicators, high beam, brake, charging indicator, line lock warning, and the other blinker. And we got a new key wired in right here, universal key. Radio's out. I wasn't gonna mess with any of these original switches, any of this stuff. It's all been flooded, corroded, disgusting. I don't know how they're all wired on some of them. They got extra wires that run to extra places. I'm not gonna deal with any of that crap. All I want is externally wired everything that I've built myself. I've completely designed my own wiring diagram for this whole car. The only thing I'm gonna mess with on the dash at all is trying to make the dash lights work. And maybe trying to get this original turn indicator lever to work, because that'd be really nice. All of our wiring underneath has been cut out. All the original stuff. and in place. Right now it's kind of in the middle of hooking up all these headlights and stuff, so it's a bit of a mess. I haven't done any wire management yet. It'll be really good looking when it's done. But what we're doing is we're bringing in a nice 10 gauge off the battery, splitting it to 2 relays, 2 40 amp relays. Each relay runs its own 6 fuse block, so that neither of these will see the full load of the car. As you can see, I retained what all I needed. This is like the button for the doors. Here's the switch for the brakes, so on and so forth. And as you can see, I've been planning this. I pretty much spent the whole first day building this and planning what all I needed, getting parts ready, getting wiring, and drawing schematics and researching on the internet how to wire this and that for complex systems like blinkers or the alternator charging system. A couple things that I just didn't know off the top of my head, but now I do. So a lot of learning here. As you can see, we had a getting that alternator took it like the 30 hours. It was fun, great time. I don't know why that took so long. It really kicked our ass, but it turned out to be the wrong parts in the wrong spots, and we thought they were the right ones. Always fun. So yeah, this is where we're at right now. If I turn my key, charging indicator light comes on. I've got these wired up for now. Just starting all the accessory stuff. Low beams, high beams, and everything else that's left. So I'm gonna keep at this. I will update you guys probably in, God, it'll probably be a week. But stick around, because for you guys it'll be 3 seconds. This took a while, but this is what I've been doing. You can knock these old sockets out of the actual housing for all the bulbs and stuff, and go down to O'Reilly's or any parts store and get new ones to put in there. So now all these bulbs work. They're all new bulbs. Sometimes your old ones will work. In my case, they absolutely would not, because all of these springs were completely seized underneath. Yeah, this was just shot. So I wasn't able to actually put a bulb in. It would resist me. So those are gone. The new ones are in. I'm gonna put this lens back on and then figure out how to wire the blinkers, which I believe is going to be the most complex system I have to deal with from here on out, and the most complex system I thought I was going to have to deal with for the whole thing. I've got it all drawn out. I know how it works. I know how to do it. It just takes a special switch. This guy, which has to be what that steering column switch is. So I might have to pull the steering wheel off to figure out what's going on in there, but that's next. All right, so it's been a couple of hours. I got a couple things done. As you can see, I've cut a million wires and wired up a bunch of stuff, and I've been rolling around under this dash forever, but here's where we're at. We've made some good progress. Turn the key on, you get the alternator charging light, which turns off, which the engine runs. Left, you got a left turn signal. I need to change this out because this isn't supposed to be an LED, or at least not that bright, because that's ridiculous. Right, you got a right turn signal. Low beams, high beams. You got a high beam indicator right here. You got brakes, which are always wired to work. Even when the key and all the other electricals are off, our brake lights will still work for safety reasons. Left blinker, right blinker. Driving lights can be overdone with the blinkers. Brake lights and blinkers. It took a little while to figure out, but I got it. And we have new LED blinkers where the smashed up old blinkers were. That's pretty sweet. Hello there. Hello. So I don't remember where we left off at all, but it's been a couple days. I think the last thing I had filmed potentially was these blinkers and stuff, and this is all that's left for electrical, and then the car is fully wired and completely done. But we do have some progress here and there. The big things to note are Jesse wired in the fuel sending unit line, so that's all hooked up. We just need to get an actual gauge. The dome light has been hooked up to both doors, So that works. There's no bulb in it right now because I took it out because it was just staying on. I've got all the indicator lights hooked up now. So we've got our alternator light like we've had this whole time. Blinker, blinker, hazards, high beam indicator. The brake light indicator is hooked up, the warning. Line lock is wired and the indicator is hooked up. We have a blower motor. And most importantly, we have these, which are totally cliche AutoZone LEDs. It's 1,000 times brighter than the OEM GM dash lights, which are terrible. If you remember from Power Tour last year in the Cutlass, I couldn't see a thing. Terrible. Horrible. And it was 1,000,000 times easier to wire because we actually tried to get the PCB, the printed circuit board on the back to work. And we had one bulb turn on behind this, and that was it. That was it. I couldn't see a thing. There were bad grounds, bad wires, the whole wiring harness had been cut out. It was a nightmare. And I said, you know what? Screw it. So I hooked these up. And really, I only needed one, but I like symmetry, so I slapped 3 in there, and I put one over here. 1,000,000 times brighter, 1,000 times easier, kind of looks cool, and they're $20 for a set of 4. I've decided, by the way, it takes a solid week to wire a car if you were to just work on it nonstop. Alright, so I've been working on this a little more today, a little more progress on the electrical. I've got the windshield wiper motor off, the old one was shot, so we got to order in a new one. The transmission kickdown is now hooked up, and the gas pedal is reinstalled. I don't know how well you can see it, but on top of that stuff, yeah, you can't see it. On top of the pedal, there is a limiter switch that when wide open throttle is detected, that guy goes ba-doink. But more importantly, I have this installed. That's right, we got fresh out of the box, never been used, 1991 era cassette player and radio in this sucker. So we're gonna be bumping some Bon Jovi tapes and all sorts of good stuff on Power Tour. We're gonna use these speakers, but they're gonna be mounted behind me on the roll bar. So what better thing to listen to than some Waylon Jennings and the Honkin' Tonk Euros. And that's copyright. So yeah, that's all that's left for the entire electrical, and I need to get parts for all of this. So for now I'm done. I guess I can go do some stuff at home, but dang, there it is. Wow. Okay, so we've been working on the LeMans for a few hours here today. We got gauges installed, wrapped up a couple other small things here and there, and we've made this, which is the original clock pod, now with a Bosch tack integrated into it. So that's pretty sweet. So we're gonna have a tack right next to the Speedo. Yes. I don't know. We'll be back when other stuff happens. There's this, but that's to come. Right, so I'm just going to end this video here because just like my life, these files are all a mess. The channel's performance has been doing terrible lately because it cannot make consistent uploads because of my full-time job outside of YouTube, school, buying a house, and all these other things. So I apologize to you guys that this video was, well, to say the least, pretty damn boring. It's electrical. I don't really know what you want me to do. Stick around. I got some great shit coming out. I love you guys for battling through these hard times. We're going to make it, and we're going to take this car off some sweet jumps to make it up to you. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Oh, also, there's merch coming, so keep your ears peeled.